I get that Resident Evil Remake hate discourse is heating up on the timeline, but this kind of hate is also not healthy. Always the Remake fans being weirdos, bro. Dude, this guy is just horny. That's normal on the internet. What isn't normal is this constant hate. My God, she's so freaking ugly. I get that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. She looks absolutely stunning and gorgeous here. Why are you quote tweeting the same guy being horny at Jill again? You're all the most disgusting freaking losers. Well, that was quite the Yuri blast. Dude, you just quote tweeted the same guy plenty of times. All he did was the horrible crime of being horny to Jill and Claire, two very attractive video game characters. How dare he? There is something mentally wrong with these kids. Yep, there is something wrong with you being horny after seeing two girls making out. But hating on them so much that you quote tweet the same account many times? Nothing wrong with that, right? Plenty of Resident Evil games are old, and some people love to pretend that they were yearning on the nostalgic days of the GameCube, PS2, Dreamcast era of gaming. AI users have a different definition of nostalgia. This AI-generated video features what appears to be someone playing GTA San Andreas, but what I find the most astonishing are the copies of Halo 1 on PS2. I have no idea how that happens, but it is very interesting that it does. It's almost like this is an AI-generated video or something. The next clip shows somebody playing Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Somehow this dude has multiple copies of the same game. I guess he wants to share those copies to his friends, but considering that the copies are still on his table, I assume that he doesn't have a lot of friends. Check out this absolutely demented gameplay of Guitar Hero. Look at how he plays the guitar. Look at the actual gameplay on the TV and how unbearably slow it is. The next clip shows the dude playing Metal Gear Solid 3 HD Edition, but the HD Edition is on the PS2, which is wrong. And the cover of the HD Edition has a GTA-style cover. To be fair, if you're living in a third world country like me, bootleg game covers will always exist. If you're going to celebrate the good old days of gaming, at least use real pictures and videos. Moving on from artificial stupidity, we have organic human stupidity, filled with absolute hatred. This shouldn't be a horrific topic to discuss, but let PlayStation fanboys make it so. This guy brought in his Switch 2 to the beach and said, never commit what low-tier god famously said to people. You all should enjoy life with your Switch 2, Monster Energy, and flip-flops. I totally vibe with that, even if I'm not a fan of the Switch 2 in general. I prefer to play something way less restrictive, like one of those modern retro game consoles running Android. Playing a Switch 2 is the same as KYS! This comment was made by a PlayStation fanboy. Some people just really cannot see others have fun, right? So, I might as well play this.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should execute yourself, now!
Moving on from one Nintendo hater to another. This is some astonishing levels of ignorance. Stop releasing NES, SNES style games if they look this crap! Wow, the level of ignorance being displayed here is utterly fascinating. This game does not look NES or SNES. This is about as modern of a pixel graphics as you can get. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this guy clearly doesn't like it. It's 2026. Stop it, devs. Sorry. Alright, it's 2026. That's more than enough reason to stop making games like this, right? Being pretentious about gaming is quite common in the online discourse. Fun being a requirement for games is what keeps this medium from being taken seriously. Who doesn't take gaming seriously? And why should we convince those people so that they take gaming seriously? What's with this desperate need for approval? You sound like a neglected child. You're gonna tell me Requiem for a Dream, The Downward Spiral, Blood Meridian, Guernica, etc. are fun? I haven't read Blood Meridian, but I know the story, and I have seen the film No Country for Old Men, based on the book from the same author as Blood Meridian. Great film. I have also seen Requiem of a Dream on TV. Not in full, but I do know the story and the ending music. I haven't listened to the Downward Spiral album by Nine Inch Nails, if that's what you're referring to, but I know the song Hurt, or at least the Johnny Cash cover. Guernica is Pablo Picasso's painting. I don't know much about that one. And no, none of these are fun, but they are thought-provoking and fun to ponder and think about. Not all media should be like that. What's wrong with enjoying a pop song, or a superhero flick, or an anime go render from a gacha game? Masterpieces have to be interesting, not necessarily fun. Yes, but not every game needs to be a masterpiece. This is true for all media. If you think that they should be, you are an elitist, and you should be kicked out of the discourse as soon as possible. I am more inclined to think that games shouldn't be art, thanks to this pretentious take. Video games are not a tool to relax. Wow, what is this obnoxious postmodernist opinion? They are artistic works which main purpose is to invoke emotion in you. Wait, that implies tranquility is not an emotion that can be invoked or worth invoking. That implies video games cannot convey the sense of serenity and awe. For someone that wants games to be taken seriously as art, you can't even recognize emotions correctly. If you want to relax, kick your legs back and get a massage. Is that so? I heard your mom is offering one for $5 an hour. If you think the games are art people can be obnoxious, here's the polar opposite. I don't believe video games are worth the time to discuss. And yet here you are discussing them. If you think they're not worth commenting, then you wouldn't be uttering a single word. But here we are. Developers aren't interesting people. I love how this implies that you are an interesting person. Their choices aren't interesting. They create elaborate toys and tell the glue chewers to enjoy, and they will enjoy it if that toy has enough colors and an anime girl. God forbid that people enjoy games with anime girls, right? If you think that games are just elaborate toys and products to be sold to all those glue chewers, then they are still worth discussing on an economic standpoint as a commodity product for entertainment to create profits for shareholders while increasing the market value of the company and contribute to a culture of consumerism surrounding digital products that are infinitely reproducible and can generate wide profit margins with little to no effort from the laborers at work. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, then it's you who should stop talking about games. Nothing to really talk about when it comes to games. They're toys, nothing more, nothing less. If there's nothing to talk about, then why are you even here? If you think people should spend their time better than talking about games, I think you should spend your time better than whining about people talking about games. I am glad that people talk about games not just as a medium of artistic expression, but also as a product to be sold and make profits of. If you don't talk about them, then we wouldn't be warning people of the dangers of gacha and the fantasy that is pity rates. But I wouldn't be able to talk about all that without Microsoft Office. As much as I despise Windows, Microsoft Office is still the best Office suite that we have right now that can work offline. Only Office is the only free alternative that I can recommend for Office works. If you can go online, Google Docs is great. It needs to connect first before it can work offline. And even then, the features are limited. That being said, I do agree with this sentiment somewhat. Who used Word? I do. I want an Office suite that I can work on that isn't tied to the internet. Yes, Google Docs can work on most documents, and it's preferable sometimes, but Word is still the one that I use to write my script. That is, if I'm in front of a Windows machine. If I'm on my phone, Docs does the job, but I usually just write on Keep first. I just need the text, not the formatting. Even so, I totally get this sentiment. Microsoft Office, especially when it's turned to the Copilot BS, shouldn't have to be a paid product these days, or at least the offline version shouldn't be. I know that they have a 365 online version that is free, but barely anyone I know uses that. They want offline Office for free, especially when there are free alternatives. But Office, in my opinion, is still the best for my use case. Who is paying to write Word documents? You pay to write documents on Word? Or are you asking who's paying for Office? People generally don't care if they wrote it on Word or Docs, as long as there is a file that contains words. I work on Office Spaces. It doesn't make much difference, other than compatibility. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.